King Almaric I of Jerusalem's son, the future Baldwin IV, was born in the summer of 1161. When it was discovered, early in his youth, that the prince had leprosy, it was a cause for great mourning throughout the kingdom. In today's video, we'll be discussing Baldwin's diagnosis of leprosy and how it impacted the Crusader kingdom of Jerusalem. First, let's hear from historian Christopher Tyerman from his book God's War. There is no more haunting passage in contemporary writing on the Crusades than William of Tyre's description of the young Baldwin IV, the blue-eyed, to hostile Arabic scrutiny, young prince of Jerusalem, whose youthful promise turned into despair at the discovery of his leprosy. The pain of the account comes from personal involvement. William, then Archdeacon of Tyre, was Baldwin's tutor. It was in his household that the first symptoms appeared. William continued to chronicle the life of his pupil, who succeeded to the throne in 1174, aged 13, and died in 1185, a ravaged, blind, crippled wreck, only 24. It was as a hero of Christendom, struggling and usually triumphing for the faith against the enormous odds of the growing power of the infidel and his own disease, that Baldwin was depicted. William of Tyre has left us a first-hand account of his discovery of Baldwin's leprosy. Let's take a look at that. While I was Archdeacon of Tyre, King Almaric, anxious about the education of his son, after many entreaties and under assurance of his favor, prevailed upon me to undertake the task of tutor. The boy, then about 9 years old, was accordingly committed to my care to be instructed and nurtured in liberal studies. While he was under my charge, I devoted myself to my royal pupil with vigilant care and watched over him with the solicitude befitting his exalted position. I endeavored to train him in the formation of character, as well as to instruct him in the knowledge of letters. He was playing one day with his companions of noble rank, when they began, as playful boys often do, to pinch each other's arms and hands with their nails. The other boys gave evidence of pain by their outcries, but Baldwin, although his comrades did not spare him, endured it altogether too patiently, as if he felt nothing. After this had occurred several times, it was reported to me. At first I supposed that it proceeded from his capacity for endurance, and not from his lack of sensitiveness. But when I called him and began to inquire what it meant, I discovered that his right arm and hand were partially numb, so that he did not feel pinching or even biting in the least. I began to be uneasy, remembering the words of the wise man, "There is no question that a member which is without feeling detracts greatly from the health of the body, and one who does not realize that he is sick is in danger." The lad's father was informed of his condition, and physicians were consulted. Repeated fomentations, oil rubs, and even poisonous remedies were employed without result in the attempt to help him. For as we recognized in the process of time, these were the preliminary symptoms of a most serious and incurable disease, which later became plainly apparent. It is impossible to refrain from tears while speaking of this great misfortune, for as he began to reach years of maturity, it was evident that he was suffering from the terrible disease of leprosy. Day by day his condition became worse. The extremities and the face were especially attacked, so that his faithful followers were moved with compassion when they looked at him. Nevertheless, he continued to make progress in the pursuit of letters, and gave ever-increasing promise of developing a lovable disposition. He was comely of appearance for his age, and far beyond the custom of his forefathers, he was an excellent horseman, and understood the handling of horses. He had a retentive memory, and loved to talk. He was economical, but always remembered both favors and injuries. In every respect he resembled his father, not alone in face, but in his entire mien, even his walk, and the tones of his voice were the same. His intellect was keen, but his speech was somewhat halting. Like his father, he eagerly listened to history, and was well disposed to follow good advice. We can see from this passage how personally Baldwin's leprosy impacted William of Tyre, and indeed, how it was a cause for sorrow in the wider kingdom. William's chronicle documents King Baldwin IV's career as he struggled with leprosy, and it's remarkable how successful Baldwin was in rising to the occasion of defending Jerusalem and leading his people despite his profound disability. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and find Real Crusades history on Facebook and Twitter. If you like what we do, please click on the donate link in the About box to make a small PayPal donation to support our work.